All right, what's up, everyone? It's Zach, and today I'm here with a very special guest. I am joined by Eric Chow. Eric, how are you doing today, man?
I am doing fantastic, Zach. How are you?
Glad to hear it, man. I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking, and thanks for taking some time out of your day to chat.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited.
Awesome, me too. So, for those of you listening, Eric is a fellow podcaster. He is also an event host for something pretty cool called Speed Friends. And he is, something I love that he says is he's a dreamer and he's also an entrepreneur. So that's a little bit about Eric from a surface level. But do you mind kind of diving a little deeper into your background, who you are, what you do these days?
Absolutely, man. Thank you. Dreamer and entrepreneur. That's definitely probably my favorite line there. Dreamer, especially. Um, yeah, so I am from the San Francisco Bay Area here in California, United States. I am a college student studying business with a concentration in MIS, Management Information Systems, at San Jose State University. I work as a tutor. I tutor math, reading, and writing for many, many, many students at various grade levels. Um, Business is definitely where I spend a lot of my time if I'm not at school or working. But as Zach said, I am also a fellow podcaster and an event host for Speed Friends. Um, Speed Friends has been going on for about a year. That's an event, a virtual event on Zoom that several friends of mine and I host. It's a global event. We get people from all over the world who want to come and hang out and meet each other. And my podcast, I am 3 months short of 2 years. I'm about to pass my 50th episode. Um, but I mean, the podcast has just been an amazing journey. And of course, I love being able to connect with fellow podcasters. So yeah, that's a little about me.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Eric. That's really cool. And congratulations on coming up with that milestone with the podcast. That's awesome to hear. And, I know it's been a while for you, whereas, for me, the podcasting scene is a bit newer. What got you interested in podcasting in the first place?
Great question. Actually, when did you get started?
So I started, the idea and the formulation started in March of 2021, and then I
Beautiful.
officially launched the end of April 2021.
Beautiful. So, yeah, so when I was getting started, I do believe I was listening to a bunch of podcasts at the time. I don't particularly remember all of the ones I was listening to, but I had been listening to a couple podcasts for quite a while, and I was searching for a space or a platform where I could kind of just express myself fully and authentically, really, because I felt that every other platform that I had looked at, whether it was Twitter, Instagram, writing articles, making videos, talking to the camera, or whatever else, I felt that for one reason or another, it wasn't allowing me to just fully be myself. Um, so I figured podcasting was a good thing to try because I had been listening to some podcasts. Turned out that it worked remarkably well, and I ended up starting to bring on guests for my show and allowing them to also share themselves authentically and fully in whatever capacity that might look like for them. So it just kind of started like that, and we went from there.
I love that. And, something that I always usually talk about it in every episode for my podcast or just when people ask me is, you know, each episode I do is completely unscripted,
Yeah,
unedited, completely organic. And I mean, Eric, you can attest to that. Like, it's not like I said, okay, we're going to talk about this, this, and this. Like, this is all kind of in the moment. And that's what I also really gravitated towards with podcasts, is just like the authenticity and just, the fact that I think as a consumer myself, I really enjoy that just like kind of like raw, like listening experience of like it's
hmm,
not filtered out, it's not, whatever. It's just kind of people being themselves talking about whatever they want at
yeah,
that moment or what's going on in life. So that's really
yeah.
awesome, man.
I think that the beautiful thing about podcasting, at least the way we're doing it, is it's conversation.
Yeah.
So there's obviously there are things that we could cut out, but the beautiful thing is that it's not something that you have to craft. You know, you're
Right.
writing when you're writing something, whether it's a tweet or an Instagram caption or an article or whatever else it might be, you really do have to write it. I mean, you have to craft it in a certain way. When you're making a video, a lot of the time you do have to do that,
Hmm.
unless of course you're just talking straight to the camera off script. But for the most part, you do have to create a story. You do have to create something. Podcasting, I mean, what do? You sit down in a conversation and you chat with somebody. Um, for the most part, this is what podcasting is about.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I love that. Like, I feel like, social media is great and I use it. I enjoy it, but I feel like so much of it is kind of like curated and can, borderline be fake at times. And it's just so
Hmm.
premeditated. And I feel like, yeah, with podcasting and the way that we are both doing our own is very just in the moment, just authentic to that specific present moment that we're in.
Hmm. 100%.
Awesome. So, Eric, I know you said based off the little intro I gave that one of your favorite things is the whole dreamer entrepreneur line that you have. So,
Hmm.
tell me a little bit about that.
I'm a dreamer, man. I love, love, love dreaming big, and I love to also hear about other people's dreams. I mean, I think that almost anyone I know can attest to the fact that um, I like to think big, and I also like to talk or ask people, hey, what are your dreams? Like, what do you want to do? What are you excited about? Because those are the things that fire me up, and I think that it's remarkably boring to live a life where it's just mundane and there's nothing that excites you like that. I love dreaming big. I think it's important to dream big. But even more than that, I think it's also important to figure out, hey, how can I take a few steps towards it? How can I keep on growing? I think like personal development has been a big thing for me for a very long time. And it's because I have dreams that are like so big that honestly, whether I reach them or not, who the heck knows? But the beautiful thing is every single day I have something I can be bettering myself for. And that motivation, I think, is incredibly powerful.
I love that. And I mean, Eric, just from the conversations we've had, I have a good feeling that, the dreams that you do establish for yourself, that you will reach those at some point. I mean, I genuinely feel like you have what it takes and you have the desire to get there. But I think the thing that's important is, for anyone listening is if you set those huge, huge dreams or goals, even if you don't quite get there, just by pursuing them, like
Hmm.
I would love to say that you're going to get better, you're going to be happier, you're going to
100%.
achieve a lot. Like even if you fall short of the ultimate goal, I'm sure you probably did amazing things that maybe not many people can say that they've done.
100%. And I think we're happiest, in my opinion, in the pursuit of a worthwhile dream.
Yeah,
And
that's so well put.
I think I stole it.
That's okay.
I think regardless of whether we reach it or not, I think like I mean, forget it, man. I'm already really, really happy with the growth I've had over the past couple of years, and I'm even more excited about the growth I'm going to have in the next couple of years. Not even thinking about, hey, what, goal, dream, whatever. Those
Mhm.
are exciting, and like I said, I think those are important. But really, those are just fueling my drive today to be better and to do more.
Yeah, definitely. And I know you said you're a dreamer, you've always been a dreamer, but like even that fuel and that determination to do more each day and to be better each day and to, work on self growth and self improvement. Where did that come from? Has that just always been
Hmm.
who you are, or did something happen that made you become that way?
No, it definitely was not always who I am. That's a great question. Thank you. Um, I think it started off with martial arts for me. So, um, most people, when they say I did martial arts as a kid, they mean they did it in like fourth grade for like 6 months and got a yellow belt.
Yeah.
Um, I did it for 5 or 6 years. I have two black belts. So I was definitely into that world. I met a lot of amazing, amazing people, really well-known people in the world of martial arts, and just an absolutely amazing time. One of the big things, martial arts, obviously, I'm learning self-defense, I'm learning all these really great techniques and just how to fight. Um, but one of the big emphasis I remember was character. Like it was a lot about being a good person and growing yourself. And I honestly think that doing it as a kid really did lay a sort of character foundation on top of the one that my parents had obviously given me. Um, I think it really put an emphasis on character and treating people right and things like that. So after I stopped training, um, and that was never like a real like decision, like I'm gonna stop training. No, it just kind of happened. Life happened, right?
Right.
Um, After I stopped training, I realized I was kind of missing that. Um, and that was the moment I kind of realized, oh, wow, this is something that martial arts was doing for me. It wasn't just like that fun hobby where I got to go hang out with my friends and do some fun exercise and whatever, whatever. It was really helping me grow. And I realized that after I stopped training, um, the classic cliche of you only know what you lost when it's gone.
Hmm.
Um, and so that I think really is what pulled me into the world of self-development and wanting to grow myself. Just honestly, just out of 100%, just out of missing what I had in martial arts at the time.
Okay, that's really interesting to hear, and something that I grew up playing a lot of sports, and I also will admit
Mhm.
I feel a little called out because I was definitely one of those people that I did
I'm
martial
telling you, man,
arts for like
everyone
five
does it.
months.
Everyone does it. I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
So like, and literally, I think I could be wrong. Like yellow or orange belt is whatever I finished, but
All right, nice.
like when
You
you
went
said
a
it, I was
little
like,
higher.
oh man, like I felt that in the core. Like I was like, yeah, like third, fourth, fifth grade, something around then for
Yep.
a
I'm
good,
telling you, man. I don't know
half year
why.
maybe. I don't, yeah,
I don't know why.
who
Everyone does
knows?
it. I don't
But
know why. Everyone does it.
right. But I think the cool thing with like, sports, and I definitely I would consider martial arts a type of sport.
Uh-huh.
You can learn so many great like life lessons or just it a little cliche, whatever, but from participating in those kind of things, especially at a young age, I feel like that can really help build a foundation for, whether it's work ethic or
Mm,
drive, determination, confidence, whatever. I think that you can learn those skills from an early age. And it's interesting that like
mhm.
you had that character kind of like growth and development then, and then when you stepped away from the training, you kind of realized like that you were missing that, and that's what led you down this pursuit.
Yeah. And I want to point out one thing for the listeners that I think that you just said.
Yeah.
And you said those are skills. And I
Hmm.
really, really do believe that because I think sometimes we feel like, oh, this person is so confident, or this person is so determined, or this person is so ambitious, or whatever, words we want to use. I do believe those are, in a sense, skills. I mean, of
Hmm.
course, they're traits as well, but
Right.
I do believe they are skills in the sense that they can be and should be developed.
Yeah.
They're not things that, you're born with or you have to develop during childhood. I do believe that anyone can raise their own confidence or level of ambition or uh, their sheer drive and determination. I think that's a good point that you had there.
Thank you. No, and I appreciate you bringing that up too. And I love that because, I do a lot of things in my life, whether it's professionally and also side things like this podcast. I've written
Hmm.
and published some books, all these things. And I don't say that as some weird like flex or whatever, but just more so in a sense that I just have this ridiculous drive to be the best version of myself that I can for me and for the people around me, the people that I care about. And I'll talk to people kind of off the record and they'll be like, I want to do so many things, but I don't have the drive. I'm not like you. I don't have the drive that you have. And like the thing that I always say is like I'm honestly like I'm not a special person. I wasn't like, born this way. And I think, like you said, Eric, some of it is like traits, but also I've just like worked hard throughout my life to like develop and sharpen like my work ethic and my, determination and ambition. So I truly, truly, truly believe, like you said, anyone can get there. I mean, you just have to see what works for you and put yourself
Hmm.
out there, because I think like we're afraid, a lot of us are afraid to get started or afraid of failing or
Hmm.
afraid of making mistakes. And I get it, especially with social media, right? Like it's hard to post, picture a video and one person likes it and 50 people tell you you're dumb, right? Like, you know, it's hard, but
Yeah,
I truly think it is possible for anyone, like you said,
yeah, 100%. And I think it's super, super worth it.
for sure. And like Eric, with you personally, with things like your podcast and for Speed Friends and just being an entrepreneur, being a dreamer, and things like that, you've had to maybe step out of your comfort zone, or just, if not your comfort zone, just like put yourself out there into the world.
Absolutely.
How was that for you? Was that easy for you to do, or has that been a challenge?
Um, Sometimes it was easy, to be honest. Sometimes it
Okay.
wasn't. I think it depended on what I needed to step out of my comfort zone to do, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I'll take Speed Friends as an example. I didn't join, or I wasn't part of the starting team for Speed Friends. I joined as a regular attendee of the event. Um, for a lot of people, that was a seek discomfort moment because they were hopping on this Zoom call with 30, 40 other people from around the world who they had never met. And they were about to talk to them and all these strangers. That was really uncomfortable for a lot of people. Me, a little bit. I had never done that before, but I mean, it wasn't all that bad to me. So in that case, it was easy. And then
Hmm.
transitioning from an attendee to becoming a host of the event, um, and that was just because I happened to connect with a couple hosts, and I guess I made a good impression. Um, that wasn't very difficult. I mean, obviously, it's not something I'd never done before, so yes, it was stepping out of my comfort zone, but I, for whatever reason, it came naturally to me. I'm the kind of guy who can get in front and do what I need to do for the most part, and so that's not something that was awfully scary to me. While a lot of other people are scared to even come to our event because they're thinking, oh my gosh, I have to talk to 40 to 100 plus people from around the world. That's terrifying. Um, and I'm obviously extremely proud of all the people who come to our
Yeah.
events anyways, with that fear, because that's really what the spirit of it is. But there are definitely other moments where I've had to step out of my comfort zone. I mean, starting the podcast was definitely jumping out of my comfort zone. I thought the same thing, you know, are people even going to listen? Will people even like my show? Do I even know what I'm going to talk about? What the hell do I know? Um, what are all the mechanics? How do I even do podcasting? Like, what is this? The only thing I actually know how to do right now is talk, and like, what? I don't know how to do anything else. I had all these questions,
Yeah.
but I think the big one was definitely like, are people even going to listen, and are people going to like it?
Yeah.
And I think one of the things I realized from that was I was debating this for like a week and a half, man. It was literally like not even like, oh, am I thinking about how to do the mechanics? No, no, no. Literally, it was a week and a half of just thinking, are people gonna like my show?
Yeah.
That's it. And one day I woke up in a really spontaneous spirit. It was a Friday morning. I woke up and I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so that day, I recorded and released my intro episode. It was nothing much, right? It was just something I wanted to put out there just to say I have a show. It wasn't really like an episode one or anything.
Right.
And I got so much positive feedback that it really shocked me. People that I knew from, high school who I hadn't talked to, or Like people were literally coming out of the woodworks just to say, "Yo, this is really cool." Um, and I realized like, okay, fear is just in your head.
Hmm.
Now, of course, I got pretty damn lucky with all these positive comments. There have been times where I've done something and the response hasn't been so positive, but I real like fear is just in your head. You have no damn clue what's gonna happen. Um, you might be pleasantly surprised. So just do the damn thing and find out.
Yeah, for sure. And it's so funny to kind of hear you kind of talk about your process of getting started with the podcast because I've been there too,
Same,
man.
huh? Yeah, same. It's the
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's
I've
all
been
of
there
us.
and yeah, and whether it's a podcast or anything that you start, especially kind of putting yourself out there in the digital space, I feel like you have those kind of thoughts and everything. And
Hmm.
um, as someone that does podcasting as well, like I'm sure you know all about like how for our podcast, like we can see like the metrics and you
Hmm.
know how many listeners, where they're from,
Yep, yep.
geographically, all that good stuff. And to be honest, like I don't even look at it. Like,
Me neither.
see, there we go. Like I figured you probably were in the same boat because like to me, it doesn't really matter. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I'll be fully like transparent. Like if my podcast like completely takes off and that's like my full-time job and I'm making a livable income, like awesome. I will not turn that down. That would be really cool. But at the end of the day, like that's not what I'm doing it for. My hope is just like so every episode I have a guest. So my hope is that by listening to these guests like yourself, their story, their mindset, their life, just
yeah.
whatever they have to share, that's going to empower or inspire or motivate or entertain too, like people.
Hmm.
And that's really for me what it's about. Like if one person listens to this episode and is like, Eric said something really, really cool that made me, want to dream big today, then I
Yep.
don't care what, like if people hate on it. I don't care if like no one else listens to it ever again. Like I feel like it's been worth it, man. Like that's what it's about for me.
Absolutely. And I think that's why we connected,
Yeah.
because at a very core level, we share the same thesis. And by the way, on that statement you just said, who the heck has the right to take away your dream? Come on now.
Right.
Listener, like who the hell has the right to do that? Come on, if you have your dream and you're excited about it and that's something that you love, I mean, who the heck has the right to take that away from you? Come on now.
Totally, totally agree. And like I talk to people on the podcast about like, I've talked to some people who are in athletics or, doing the whole like singing career or acting career,
Hmm.
whatever. And those are really
Hmm.
cool things. I love them. They're interesting, but like what I always like to tell the listeners is like it doesn't matter. Like if you are super passionate about knitting or like you're really into, I don't know, watercolor painting or like
Hmm.
uh like
I
science,
have I have
whatever.
personal friends in both of them,
There you
and they
go.
are they love it.
Exactly. Like there's like if you're passionate and you have dreams to do anything, like who cares if people think like it's lame or it's not cool, like whatever, because there's plenty of people out there who think it's incredible and really awesome. So like that's the
Yeah,
big thing I always like to tell people. Like you don't have to, you know, pursue or dream of like the cliche things of like being a pro athlete, being a singer, whatever. Like those things are
yeah,
cool, but there's so many other things out there. And like just be true to yourself. And like Eric has
yeah,
kind of said throughout this whole conversation, like be authentic to who you are. Like don't let anyone tell you that you shouldn't be or like that's not good enough.
yeah.
Definitely.
I
So
think one of my friends said it in a conversation,
yeah.
and I'll just throw it out there. We've already said it, but I'll throw it out there just in case this is the line that hits. One of my friends says it like this: "Our purpose in life is to fully experience who we are."
Mm, that does hit.
There you go. See?
I like that. That's yeah, that is so true. Like I feel like in life, there's times where you have to maybe act a certain way or maybe pretend to feel a certain way or be a certain way in a situation, whether it's professional or I don't know, whatever social situation maybe. But I
Right.
think at the end of the day, like you just want to be ourselves. So we want to be accepted and loved for who we are and what we do. And I think that that's the cool thing about being a human to me. Like there's so
Yeah,
many people in this world, and I'm sure you see so many different people from so many different walks of life and speed friends, and it's like everyone, like it's cliche, yeah, but like everyone's so unique and special in their own way. It's really just cool to see, like, pull back the curtain and see 100% who you are,
yeah,
and who you are to your core. And I think it's important for us to feel that way. So yeah, I definitely love that, and that resonates with me a lot.
in fact, I'll just add this: who we are and who we can be.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, who we are and who we can be, we sometimes we have these limiting beliefs, and sometimes society
Hmm.
gives us limiting beliefs, but as cliche as it sounds, like the only person that can like limit what you can be is yourself, right? Like, I mean, of course there are some situations where like maybe you can't do a certain thing because of resources or whatever, but at the end of the day, like you kind of I think you and I both want to empower anyone listening to step into their truth and to
Yeah,
disregard any barriers and do what really they want to be and pursue who they
yeah,
want to become.
100%.
Awesome. So, you know, Eric, for you, how did you get to the point that you're at, I guess? Like you mentioned the martial arts background with helping kind of like the self-growth and the determination, but like having just this overall mindset and view that you have on life, was there any, pivotal moments that led you to that? Or again, was that just kind of who you are?
It definitely wasn't who I am. There are pivotal moments, absolutely. But the thing that I feel is most important to stress, because I think that sometimes people are searching for that one thing that's gonna click, and that one thing
Hmm.
is just gonna get them to, you know, the kind of person they want to be. And I just don't think that exists. Maybe it does, and I just haven't found it. If somebody finds it, please tell me. But for me, it's been a journey, man. Yes, there were pivotal moments, but it's been a journey. The way I developed, and gotten to where I am, and I don't think I'm a big hot shot or anything, or I got the perfect mindset or anything, but the way I got to where I am is years and years and years of just various different things, starting with martial arts. I read a lot. I've listened to a lot of podcasts, hours and hours and hours of various different people, and you know, countless people who have achieved some success in some particular area that I want to uh, learn from. I've spent a lot of time talking to people through podcasts, feed friends, and outside of that, I've spent a lot of time hanging out with people who, I believe are amazing quality people who inspire me and in a lot of different areas are better than me so that I can learn from them and their mindset. Um, I think that it comes down to two things. I think number one is it's been a journey. This is not, you do not grow yourself in a day, you grow yourself every day. And I mean, I've been doing this sort of personal development journey. I mean, I left martial arts five, maybe almost as long as I've done martial arts, 5 or 6 years probably. Like that's the amount of time I've been spending just trying to grow myself, and I've actually been doing it for a very long time. And the other thing is power of association. I really do believe uh, that what you associate with is super, super important because that does determine your mindset and what you think about in a lot of ways. I mean, just think about it like this, right? You watch a scary movie, you're probably going to think some scary thoughts as you go to bed that night.
Right.
Like you're like, this is ridiculous, but like, what if this happens? Like you're going to be thinking about that because that was what you input into your mind. And that's not a problem. That's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that. But if you spend the time and you're a little bit more intentional about what are you feeding your mind every single day, whether it's videos, podcasts, books, articles, and the people you hang out with, definitely. I think all of these things, they do a lot to influence your mindset and the way you think.
Oh man, Eric, you are spot on, man. And like just hearing you kind of go through that response, like I just sit here and I'm like, this is why like you and I have connected and why we're on the same
Yeah.
page with so many things. Like I totally everything you say, I agree 100%, right? Like,
Mhm.
I think that something I talk about a lot is every person, every opportunity, every situation in life is a chance for you to learn something. You just have to
Mm,
be open to that. So, like you
mhm.
kind of mentioned, just with like the learning, whether it's reading, podcast, hanging out with people, getting to know, connecting with people that are probably better than you at some things, or many things, or whatever the case may be. I know, like I do that too, where I'm, like connecting with people, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but this person's really
Yeah.
great at it, so I'm sure I could learn from them. So, I think that's a huge, huge asset. And then, like you said, the power of association, man. Like I think that social media is so cool and it's awesome that we have it and it's awesome we can connect with people, but it can be a toxic environment for us. And, that's something that I've done within the last year of just unfollowing accounts that are like, that aren't fueling me the way that I want to, right? Like our minds are such a powerful tool that even maybe at noon when I'm bored and just scrolling Instagram, I might not be like, consciously registering what I'm seeing, but like my brain is still picking up on it. So if it's just like negativity and, you know, bad, toxic, thoughts or whatever,
Yeah.
it's going to impact me more than I even realize it. So, I
Yeah.
love that. And I'm a big believer in that too.
I would be nowhere without that.
Yeah, totally. And, I just want to say to anyone listening, like Eric said himself, we're not saying don't watch scary movies or, anything like that. By all means. But I think that it's just like if you want to live a more maybe positive life or have a
Yeah.
more positive mindset, like Eric said, maybe just try to be a little bit more intentional with
Yeah.
what you're listening to, with what you're surrounding yourself around.
Start simple, right? I mean,
Yeah.
20 minutes every day, 20 minutes. Maybe that's 20 minutes right before bed. You're making
Hmm.
sure you put in some positive before, into your head, whether that's a book, whether that's a whatever, I don't care. Um, Maybe you just start with that.
Yeah.
Maybe you say, hey, you know what? Before I start watching the news, let me watch this particular thing that is going to inspire me and get me excited about life. Or maybe after I watch the news for 30 minutes, I'm going to watch this for 30 minutes that is going to inspire or get me excited about life, right? Just like
Hmm.
little things like that. Like that's all it needs to be.
Yeah.
Still watch that damn scary movie. That's great. If you like scary
Right.
movies, go for it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about balance, right? Like just anything in life, it's all about finding that balance. And Eric, I think that that's a great point, and that kind of led me to this question that I have for you that you
Hmm.
kind of just touched on. But to anyone that's listening who might want to join you on that kind of like self development, self growth
Hmm.
journey, but maybe they don't know how, they don't know how to
Hmm.
start, where to start, or they're just intimidated by the idea. You mentioned kind of
Hmm.
starting small, but is there anything else that you would maybe say would be a good starting point or suggestion to anyone new on this self development journey?
Good point. Um, I think that sometimes we feel like the power of association has so much to do with the people that we're around. And I think that is the hardest part. Maybe you're not around people who inspire and excite you and empower you. And that might be difficult because obviously the people you're around are probably close, fairly close friends or family or whatever, and that's difficult, okay? And I know that from personal experience. I think the easiest place to start is pick up some books and find some podcasts that are adding value to you and are in very small ways improving your mindset. And I say small ways because I do believe that it's small improvements over time. Obviously you're listening to Zach's podcast right now. That's fantastic. Keep listening. First of all, Zach will appreciate it. Second of all, his guests will appreciate it. And third of all, you'll appreciate it. Um, Find some other ones. I don't know how often Zach releases, and that's not me being a bad guest. That's just like me and Zach connected like last week or something.
Right. Yeah, every Monday, so once a week.
Perfect, perfect.
Yep.
So once a week. So great. Let's say you don't listen to the Zach's podcast on Monday. That's fine, right? Let's say
Yeah.
you listen to Wednesday. Cool. Let's say, that's one day, maybe you break it down. Maybe you don't listen to the full episode in one day. Let's say you do Tuesday and Wednesday. Cool. Well, find a few more podcasts that inspire you maybe. If you like listening to podcasts, find some YouTube channels that are doing something that can add value to you, right? I could share what I'm listening to, but I'm not going to because what you need may not be what I'm needing, right? You find some YouTube channels, some podcasts, some books that add value to you and just start there. And I honestly believe as you start to grow yourself through these simple things, or actually, as Zach said, curate your feed a little bit. Especially, I think Instagram is probably the easiest one to curate, to be honest with you. Um, just unfollow some accounts and follow some other accounts. Done. I mean, it's not that difficult, right?
Right.
Um, And I think starting with that is perfect. You'll find the people that you need to be around. I don't think that that has to be this crazy, ridiculous, difficult task and daunting task. I think it'll happen. It took me some time, obviously. There were times where, honestly, I had to be willing to kind of go at it alone, honestly. Um, and I don't say that to mean like literally I was like walking alone and I had no friends. It was not to say that. But in the sense of I was the one who kind of had to empower and inspire myself. I didn't have other people who were going to empower and inspire me. They were great people. They were fantastic human beings. I love them to death. I still do. Um, but they weren't the ones who were going to help me uh, take the next steps. And it took me a while to find those people. And that was okay with me because I had positive going in.
Totally. And I think that, that is something that I want to share with anyone listening. Like, it is okay, like, if you have those close friends or family members who maybe aren't helping you get to that next step. Like, I'm not, and Eric's not saying like you have to cut those people out of your
Yeah,
life. Just being real with people listening, like, there might be people in your life, or there might be people in our lives who maybe take more than they give, or maybe are bringing us down in ways. So maybe, you do eliminate some people from your life in that sense,
yeah,
whatever. That's healthy.
definitely.
I think that's fine. But also just know that it's okay that you very well probably have some loved ones who just might not empower you or inspire you or help you get to the next stage as much as you would want, but that's okay too. Like, don't feel like you have to get rid of those people or anything. Just, maybe be intentional about um
Yeah.
the other connections you're making.
100%.
Definitely. And yeah, I think that's, you brought up another interesting point, Eric, because I was going to say, like, as you were talking about, I was like, I wonder what you're reading or what you're listening to or
Mm,
what you have read or listened to. And I like how you said, you could say it, but that, that may or may not be something that benefits everyone
exactly.
else. And
Exactly.
yeah, I think that's a great point. Like, who am I, or who is Eric to tell you, the listener, what you need right now, right? Like,
Yeah.
whatever
I
you
mean, there
feel.
are so many great podcasts and
Yeah,
books and videos and YouTubers out there. Like, I, I could tell you what I love, and they're great. I actually do think they're great, but I don't know if it's going to add value to you.
right. Definitely. And let me spin a question this way then, Eric. So,
Okay.
because we don't want to necessarily influence and say, like, I listen to this, go listen to it, because we don't know if it'll add value. When
Right.
it comes to you looking for content to consume that
Mm,
will help you and will push you forward, are there any certain things that you're looking for, whether it's within a
mm.
book or a podcast or a YouTuber or just, content creator?
My number one thing that I'm I'm taking is a personal recommendation from somebody who knows me.
Okay.
So, for example, um, almost every single book that I've read in the past, literally probably since January or February of 2020, has come from one person. Almost all the books, and I've read more than 2 dozen books in that amount of time, has come from one person who knows exactly where my head is.
Hmm.
Did I ever at one point go, hey, you're going to be the sole chooser of all the books that I read? No, absolutely not. It just kind of happened that way. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. But the point is, like, this is a guy who knows exactly where my head is at. He knows where my life is at. This is one of those people who does empower and inspire me. So the first thing I do is I look at somebody who does empower and inspire me and their recommendation for me because they are somebody who adds value to me and they know where my head is at. So therefore, they can make a good recommendation for me. You don't
Yeah.
have to know them super well. That's okay if you don't. But if they are adding value to you, like say, I don't know, maybe you found some podcast or some YouTuber who always adds value to you, and they say, hey guys, by the way, I'm reading this amazing book right now. Then maybe you should pick that up because they're adding value to you consistently. If they're reading a book, then maybe you should be too, right?
Yeah.
If they're watching a certain, so that's the first thing I look for. The second thing I look for is uh, definitely the well, I guess this isn't a requirement, but this is the second thing I look for is who is it? Is it somebody who in a way has fruit on the tree? Do they know what the heck they're talking about? Are they the kind of person that I feel can speak on that subject? You know, do they have some level of credibility? And I can't always answer that question, so I don't put too much of a big deal on that. But I mean, just like any of us, I think sometimes we're like, oh crap, it's an Avengers movie. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Like there's brand there. If you recognize it, you're gonna take it. So that's something I look for. If I don't recognize it, then obviously I just skip this one.
Right.
And then I think the third one is probably um, if I'm looking for a particular thing. Maybe I'm looking for help in connecting with people. Maybe I'm looking for something to do with mindset. Maybe I'm looking for something to do with how can I improve my productivity and my habits and my systems in life. Then I'll look for those subjects, right?
Right.
And honestly, I'm not afraid to just do a test run. You watch one video, you don't like it, great, next channel. You read the first 20 pages of the book, you don't like it, great, drop the book, next one.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
I love those, man. And I think that that's pretty much the same process that I go through. I'm a big reader and I love finding books, on my own and everything. But if someone that I respect or that inspires me, if they
Yeah.
suggest a book, I put that at the top of my list. I just think that's to me that I love finding recommendations from those kind of people and those sources.
Yeah.
And, like you said with the whole test run idea, I think that's really big too, because I feel like sometimes when we start something new or we pursue kind of this like self development, we get in that like just lane where it's like, okay, I committed to this, like I have to
Mm,
finish the whole 500-page book when
mm.
like I'm like falling asleep during the first 10 pages, right? Or like, you know, I I'm listening to this podcast that has like 50 episodes. I have to listen to all 50, but like it doesn't really resonate with me. Like it's okay to just try it out and just move on to the next one. And like I feel like that's how you really learn, right? Because and it's
Mm,
nothing against that author, that content creator, that podcaster. It's not
mhm,
that they're doing anything wrong. It's not that there's nothing wrong with you that you can't, resonate with it. It's just not everything's going to be the perfect fit for you.
mm.
And I think that goes back to Eric, what you're saying about like we can't really tell you what you need because only you know what you need.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, I mean, you already heard listeners that Zach and I were saying we don't particularly care about too much of our numbers.
Hmm.
Like if one of you listeners decides, hey, I thought Eric was kind of cool. He was I'm gonna go listen to an episode of his podcast, and you come listen to it and it's boring and you never listen again. I'm not gonna be hurt by that.
Yeah,
That's fine. If it didn't add value to you, move on. Find something else.
exactly. No, I love that. And, something that we've talked about, Eric, just off the record, and you've mentioned a lot this conversation is just the idea of adding value. Does it add value? How can you add value to people? Um, I guess just why is that so important to you? And,
Mm,
what can we do as a listener, to make sure that we're adding value to people's lives?
mm. Um, well, I'll say it from a giving perspective and a receiving perspective, right?
Okay.
I think it's important to think about, are they adding value to you? I think that's important because, I mean, damn it, if they're not adding value, what are they adding?
Mm-hmm.
Are they even adding anything? Are they actually subtracting maybe? I don't know.
Right.
Or if they're multiplying. I'm just going into math at this point, but you know, if they're not, if something positive is not happening, then you have to wonder why. Why are we here? Why am I having this conversation? Or like, what's the point?
Yeah.
There's what is the point, right? Um, and so that's the first thing. Is it adding value? Is also, I mean, like I said, I'm a dreamer. I'm big into this development thing. You don't have to be as dedicated as I am, okay? But I am, and for me, it's important to think about, yeah, I mean, is this going to help me grow? And obviously, yes, I'm going to spend time relaxing and I'm going to spend time doing things that um, seemingly add no value. But I mean, hey, damn it, entertainment adds value too sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Comedy adds value, laughing adds value. Adding value does not have to be rah rah knowledge, knowledge. No.
Right.
So that's on the receiving end. What are you receiving? How can you add value? I think that's a hard question for me to answer because I don't know what, your particular strengths are.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain, everybody is who we are today is the sum of all our past experiences, all our past conversations, associations, influences, whatever. Everybody has their own things that they can add. Think about a group project, right?
Yeah.
Um, everybody adds different things. I had a group project a couple weeks ago. One person was really good at coding, right? So god damn it, that guy did all the coding. I did nothing. I did zero coding. I mean my concentration is business and tech.
Yeah.
And so literally this is like primarily coding right now. I did no coding, okay? I had this guy do all the coding because that's his strength. Great. Um, I'm really good with my logic and my words and my understanding. So I did a lot of the writing of the explanations and stuff. That was my strength. Other people had their strength. They added value to the group in their way. Whatever situation you're in, I mean, you can just think about what can I add?
Mm-hmm.
What can I add? And don't put too much pressure on yourself either. You don't have to sit there shaking like, what am I gonna add to this? No, it doesn't have to be that big of a deal. Okay, relax.
Yeah.
But it's something to think about. Like, what are your strengths? What do you know that you don't know if it's gonna add value or not? But if you think it will, it's worth sharing. I think that Zach and I think you would agree with me, Zach. We both started our show because we believe everybody has something to say.
Yeah.
Like, you have something to say. You just
Yeah.
got to figure out what that is. I don't know what that is for you. Zach can't tell you what that is for you unless you're like Zach's best friend. Um, but other than that, like, it's something that we got to figure out for ourselves.
Yeah. No, that's so great, and I totally agree. Like, I think that when it comes to, receiving value, I think, Eric, like you said, there's many ways that we can receive it. There's many ways that we can get value into our lives and ways that you might not think, are quote unquote value. Like you said, comedy, laughing, things, entertainment. those are great sources of value too, and like you said, if you aren't getting value from a situation or a person or whatever, then maybe just take a step back and think like, what am I getting from here? Am I getting nothing, or am I is something being subtracted from the experience? And
No.
in terms of giving value, like, just I think it's as simple as, it's simple and complex, right? Like it's complex in the sense of like you have to figure that out, but it's
Yeah.
simple in the sense of like Eric, you're saying like just your strengths. Don't be afraid to highlight your strengths or
Yeah.
provide insight or experience or knowledge. I mean, it could even be like, you work out at a gym and you see someone's doing a workout and maybe their form's a little off or something, and just like maybe offering a little tip or something, like it's
Yeah.
something very minute that you're like, oh, whatever, it's not a big deal, but that could have provided tremendous value to someone. So I
Yeah.
think that that's huge, and in general something that I believe in, and I feel like Eric, you might be similar on it, is just like the idea of like we live in a world where like just give and give value when you can. And to be
Hmm.
honest, like when you do that, the more that you give, the more that you put out there, the more you're going to get back. And I'm not saying that in the sense of like, what's in it for me, I need to get stuff back out of it, but I mean like I think you'll live a more fulfilling and happy life if you do constantly have that on like the back of your mind, like how can I provide value or what can I give,
Hmm.
because people really respond well to it. And I think you will see some good results coming into your life if you have that outflow.
Absolutely. I definitely stand by that.
Definitely. I love it. And, you know, Eric, I know you're involved with a few different things like your podcast and Speed Friends, and even just like social media and stuff like that. You know, what's the best place for people to check out your content, or if anything that we talked about today really resonated with someone, where's the best places to kind of get in touch with you and follow you on your journey?
I would say the best place is probably Instagram. That's at underscore Chow Eric. That's at underscore CHOWERIC. LinkedIn, Facebook, a couple other places. Of course, I can send Zach the links. But definitely feel free to connect with me there also. But I'd say Instagram is probably the best place to see what I'm doing. That's the place that I update the most. Of course, if you want to listen to my podcast, that's the Eric Chow Empowers podcast, available on basically all streaming platforms that there are. You can just Google it or search it up on whatever streaming platform. I'll send Zach the links, but Googling is probably the easiest way to do it.
Perfect. And for the podcast, do you have any sort of like upload schedule or anything?
I do not. I used
Okay.
to, but I slacked off.
Nothing wrong with that, man. I'm sure I'll probably get to that point too.
And you give it another like 6 months.
Yeah. Oh man. Awesome. Well, yeah, that's where you can check out Eric's stuff. I will put all of that, all the links and all this information in the description of the episode. So feel free to just click down there and check out everything Eric has going on. I have no doubt that it's some really great stuff, and that there's a lot to come from Eric in the future. And I have a good feeling that if you really enjoyed this conversation that Eric and I had, you're really going to enjoy diving deeper into just Eric's content and his own podcast. Definitely someone that I see is very much in alignment with my
Hmm.
podcast and my vision and who I am. So definitely someone to check out and connect with. But Eric, is there any kind of like last thoughts or message that you want to give to anyone listening?
Um, yeah, you know what? I think time is life, right? I think that, you know, every single moment is, I mean, time is the currency of life, is really what I'm saying. And I say that to put into perspective two things. Number one, when we're talking about adding value, do you feel like what you're doing is adding value to you? That's how you're spending your time, that's how you're spending your attention, that's how you're spending your energy. So definitely be a little bit intentional about it. At the same time, You got a little bit of time too, I mean, unless you like 99 and a half, then maybe you don't have a lot of time. But for the most of us, we got a little bit to go. So you don't want to waste it too much. But if you mess up here and there, it don't really matter. Okay. Um, you know, Zach said, it's simple but complex. Absolutely agree. I mean, I look back and to be honest, in some ways, it seems very simple of a journey that I went on. But at the moment, it definitely did not seem very simple. It definitely had its like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Um, but I think you learn to not worry about it so much and just focus on like, yeah, I'm working on it. I'm growing. I think one of the things I've had to learn, especially as somebody with huge dreams, is it's a damn journey.
Yeah.
And just because I don't feel like I'm gonna achieve my goal tomorrow, that's not a big deal. It's fine.
Yeah. I love that. And, I think that's a good kind of mindset that I like to have and share with people is, and we've talked about it without directly saying this, but like, just try to get like even just 1% better each day, right? Like
Hmm.
it might not feel like much tomorrow. It might not feel like much maybe at the end of the month, but it's going to compound over time and you're going
Yeah,
to see the
yeah,
results. So, you know, whether it's quote unquote success or happiness or dreams or whatever,
yeah,
more times than not, we kind of treat it like a place, like a destination. And I guess
yeah,
while it might be, if you look at it that way, it's also a journey and it's about the journey and it's about the pursuit. Like Eric said at the beginning of this conversation, the pursuit of that dream. So, just know that, like Eric said, you have time, right? Like, take your time, be kind to yourself, show yourself grace that if you're not there tomorrow or changing the world by noon, that doesn't mean you failed or that doesn't mean you should be discouraged, right? Like that just means you're on your way in your journey. You're gonna get there. Just keep on going, keep on trying to improve a little bit each day and I know that you'll love the results. Once you quote unquote get there. But at the end of the day, do any of us ever get there?
God dang it, I can't change the world by tomorrow at noon.
I don't know, man. Like maybe for you, I might say maybe like
Hey,
12:45, but
that- I am amazing.
for sure,
Well, Zach, I just want to say thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed this episode, and I hope to the listeners that it adds some value to you, just a little bit, I hope. Um, and I wish you the very best, whether we talk in the future or we don't. And I'm saying that to the listener because Zach, I know we're going to talk again.
for sure. Yeah, thank you, Eric. I appreciate you taking the time to chat today. I definitely hope that to anyone listening that you found this episode valuable and learned a lot from Eric. I know that I personally have in this hour that we spent together, I feel very empowered and that Eric provided a lot of value into my life. I am absolutely thrilled to call Eric a friend and to see what he's going to accomplish in the years to come. I know it's going to be some great things and it's going to help so many people. So I'm excited for your journey, man. And I have no doubt, like you said, we're definitely going to be chatting a lot more. So, if there's anything that I can personally do for you or add any value to your life, always let me know. But, just really grateful to have you on and wishing you nothing but the best as well.
Thank you, brother. Take care.
You too, man. Talk to you later.